Here we are at the Braehead Rink for the final of the Star Refrigeration National Wheelchair Pairs event. And I'm joined here by Norman Cathcart. And Norman, this is very good because we've got new people in the final here today.
Absolutely, Judy. It's super to see. First time we've had representation from England, I think, in the final. And being the boys from the Black Stuff.
The boys from the Black Stuff, indeed. The team from Northern Ice, skipped by Stephen McGarry with Jeff Ward playing the lead stones. And they're going to be taking on the Scottish rink, skipped by Mo Simpson, with Ian Donaldson playing lead stones. Although the way they're sitting on the ice, I think they've decided to change it round, the Scots.
Yes, Mo's playing lead stones and Ian's going to be in the head.
Well, the first stone coming up the ice just now. The Northern Ice team playing yellow stones, which means that the Scots have got the hammer and they're playing the red. That's a good stone there, isn't it? Because it gives Stephen an idea of the line and the swing.
Get an idea now what kind of game Ian Donaldson may be planning to play here.
Well, they've played numerous rounds in order to get to the final, so they should have a fair idea of the ice and the weight. But you can see how that is cutting right across. If you drop the weight, don't get the line quite right, your stone travels at least 8 feet across the circles.
There is a lovely draw on the ice, and the players have been commentating how much they've enjoyed playing on the swinging ice.
Yes, I think the surface has been very good. There are great draws. You've got to understand how to use the draws and really play them. So this should be quite an interesting final. You notice that the lead, Jeff Ward, is playing the L delivery. Well, not quite the L, it's a V delivery, really, turning his chair on the spot and looking up his cue to the skip's target.
It's a good shot too, and behind the guard. Maybe a fraction further than he might have hoped, but still a very good shot.
Still, anything in the rings on this ice is really pretty useful. Mo about to play her second stone. That's a good line she's played. Has she got the weight to come up into the rings? The Reds have got last stones, so they're not looking to clutter up the front too much, and unless they use these to punt up a little bit, they're going to be a bit of a nuisance, these red stones.
Steve McGarry is still nominating. He's putting the pressure on Ian here by asking for another stone to be drawn into the house.
I'm just wondering on that ice if that's enough. If he's slightly light on his weight, he's maybe going to promote the red.
He must have realised that as he's played wide of the brush.
Well, he's definitely got a good handle on the weight, although that might just... Well, it's going to slip onto the back stone there. So 3 in the head, but you'll note they're all behind the tee.
Yeah.
So that's plenty of room for the Scots and playing red stones to come right up to them. Ian just hoping that Mo can play a stone right up to rest on one of those yellow stones.
It's unique to wheelchair curling, the fact that they buddy or hold for stability the opponent's chair.
Well, it's quite interesting because you'll note the Scots will use the buddy system quite regularly, but Northern Ice I don't think are so dependent on a buddy because they sit in the V position and are probably a wee bit more stable that way. We'll see what happens with Stephen when he comes to play stones. And because it's pairs, your opposition are acting as your buddy. You know, your team member's the other end of the ice. So it's your opponent who's you're relying on to act as your buddy.
So the players are now swapping as the first players had 3 stones, and now the skips are going to play their last 3 stones, and the lead player comes into the head to call the shots.
So Northern Ice look as if they're lying 2 shots at the moment, but as I said earlier, behind the tee. Stephen just setting himself up for his first stone. Doesn't look as if he's asked for a buddy.
No, Stephen never does. He's always quite confident to play.
I think we can see in the screen that without a buddy, his chair just skewed a little bit, a couple of inches, which if you've got the opportunity of a buddy, I would suggest you take it. But even with that slight wiggle of the chair, he's played a lovely stone. Well, you can't ask for better than that, can you? Right, cutting the button.
Super shot.
Very nice.
And just in front of the tee. Bit of pressure now on Ian.
Yes, nicely delivered shot, holding the cue on line. He's going to move something anyway. Might just come to that, the second shot. Move it. But he's rolled off it, so he still leaves the Northern Ice lying 2 shots. That was maybe just a fraction heavy, and it held the line. He would have liked to have come over more to the centre and punt the shot stone.
This time a guard has been called, I think, so we'll see if Stephen can play the shorter stone. It's quite difficult on the swinging ice.
Once again, his chair just gives a wee bit of a wiggle. Now, is this going to crawl over? Will it cover the line? That's holding up very well. Very well indeed.
That looks a good shot. That's going to cause some problems for Ian with his last stone. Excellent shot.
That's a wonderful shot. Excellent. So I'm afraid Ian is definitely going to have to try and move something here, although... Oh, that's a fair bit of ice.
Almost the best Ian can hope for here is to cut them down to a 1.
Well,
very difficult to see how he can get a shot out of this.
Well, Ian will need to be careful with his weight here, unless he's just playing a draw weight here, trying to cut them down, but he may just come onto that front stone, but the stone is holding at the moment. Here it comes into the head, but will it stop?
As the weight's up, it's going to come to the back, I think.
But that's not, well, that was the danger with a heavier stone, and it was a lot of ice, and that heavier stone runs straighter, so it didn't come into those yellows sitting on the centre line. Now Stephen McGarry for Northern Ice. I don't think you guard with last stone. He just needs a nice draw.
I'm sure Stephen will realise that this is his last stone.
Play up, and if he just bumps his own front stone, he'll lie 4. Now, how often have you seen Northern Ice play such lovely draw shots? Oh, there is another stone. My goodness. My mistake.
He has played another
but
super
that is exactly the stone he should play.
That's a perfect stone.
Exactly the stone he should play.
Now real pressure.
Now,
this is what skips are for.
It is, but you should have corrected me and said there was another stone.
Yeah, I didn't realise that myself. we're not looking at the scoreboard because that has the hammer with Mo and Ian.
This is quite a delicate situation here for Ian. He's lying 4 against, and in a 5-end game, if you lose a 4 in the first end, it's a bit of a scrabble to get back into contention. Although if you're going to do that, do it now. However, he's trying to play a draw right up to this yellow stone just behind the tee, which would be an excellent stone and would cut down.
Has to do some drawing.
But it looks as if it's just going to trundle through. So that's a big score to the Northern Ice boys in the very first end.
Now we'll see the character of Ian and Mo, because that's an end they've got to put behind them and then try and work out how they can claw their way back into the final.
Well, definitely the Northern Ice boys got a feel of the weight right away, and that was very telling. They played some lovely draws there. So Ian and Mo having a powwow just to decide how to tackle this end.
The Northern Ice players really have come on a lot over the last season. We see a big difference between their play this season and last season.
Leaps and bounds. They are obviously paying more attention to their setup, to their lineup, and to their weight control. They used to be Hasham Bashams before, weren't they?
Yes, yes.
Hit everything in sight and usually miss everything in sight. But this is definitely showing...
No, they're showing a lot of good touch.
Good touch. Excellent. By dint of winning the last end, they lead off in this, the second end of the final of the Star Refrigeration National Pairs. And Jeff has thrown that one pretty wide, but again, if he gets the weight, which he seems to have got buttoned up.
Yes,
very nice. It's in the rings.
Jeff
Anything touching the paint is a possible counter.
Jeff's been playing very well all weekend. He's been very consistent and has managed to keep his stones exactly where Stephen's been asking for them.
Well, for lead stones, that is exactly what you want, isn't it? Now, I think Mo just playing a safe draw into the rings, and that's a very nice stone. I think you want to get that line into your back pocket. Looks pretty useful.
And Stephen immediately calling for the takeout, which is generally a kind of shot that they're extremely comfortable playing.
Well, this will be interesting because if you've got a big draw, it can be tricky to play takeouts with any success. But I have to say, this looks, if it holds its head up, it's going to be a really nice stone. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, good shot.
Just out the back.
Good shot.
Absolutely perfect. And 2 lead stones split right across the house. As I say, anything touching the paint is a possible counter. Mo just taking her time with the setup, the most important part of this delivery. Oh, she just put an extra pound on that one, or is it going to stop in the rings? Pretty good, Mo. Very nice. Nice draw. Now that's a wee bit of a pity, Norman, because if he'd just asked for the other hand, she could have drawn that in behind the yellow stone on the right-hand side.
Yes, I know. I think
Or
it's
it's a
just because
possibility. It's a bit open there, isn't it?
Ian is comfortable with that hand at the moment because he knows it. And again, Stephen asking for the takeout.
I think he might have pulled this one in this time.
Looked a bit narrow and
Yes,
it
it's
may
just
just
not
go
going to.
past.
But if he nicks off his own yellow counter, no, it's just going to slip through. Well, it didn't go through, did it?
Not through, and that's a
just
very
hanging on.
solitary red sitting in the house just now. I think
It's
Ian
pretty
will want
lonely.
to get something else.
Ian calling for the same shot again from Mo. She's found nice weight here, if she can just hold on to that and get another shot in.
It's a good line. If Mo can just hold that in the front, but it looks as if it's going to be
It's just
heading
slippering on
towards
a little
the...
bit, isn't it? Oh, steady,
Yeah.
steady, steady. Stop. Well, it has stopped. And third shot, it looks to me. So at least it's in the rings.
Giving Ian something to work with, at least,
Yes.
because he certainly is looking to, with last stone, get a 2 at this end.
At least.
At least.
At least.
Steve McGarry sporting his new moustache. He's really proud of that.
Oh, is he doing a Movember?
Well, no, I don't think so. He decided.
What happened to
that,
yours?
Never been there. Never been there.
You're not subscribing to this Movember?
No, I haven't gone for that.
Ah.
And I don't think you've gone for the no makeup look yet, have you, Judy? with the bear stenciled on your cheek. Here goes Stephen. Let's see what Stephen's going to do. Is he going for takeout on the other hand this time? On the
Yes.
clockwise hand. That's not going to get the target stone.
No, he may get the back one, but if you noticed his stone on the way up, it has literally only turned 3/4 of a turn. However, it's been very effective, and this red counter in the middle is looking even more lonely. 4 yellows round the rings. And I know what these are called round the edges, but I don't think I can say it here.
We'll just call them biters at the moment. And they're doing more than that. They're causing Ian Donaldson considerable thought.
Now, Ian is a member of the elite squad, the top 8 in Scotland, and he should be used to these pressure situations and be able to pull something nice out the bag here. This is the same line as he gave Mo, so he'll be hoping the stone will draw across and sit guarding the... But in the rings, I would hope he's thinking.
You a believer, Judy, in guarding one stone?
I'm not. That's why I'm saying in the rings with any luck. You must have the stone in the rings. Best guard is second shot. Now,
He's not in the rings.
I'm sorry, that is not a good
No,
delivery
it's
from
not.
Ian there.
And the stone is exposed
It
on
is
the
On the
clockwise side.
He's
Oh,
playing
Stephen's
now,
not.
Why would you want to do that?
That's a surprise. I would have thought because Stephen can see it, he would go on the clockwise handle, but he's going anti-clockwise.
Yes, well, he will
Interesting
have
call.
his reasons, but it is an interesting call. Now that's gone out with the 18-inch lines where the brush was, so he's played it a fraction wide. He may still have a nice draw there, but that was an opportunity, I would suggest, that's missed. Now, Ian, I would suggest you come up to that one and just push it back, and if you can get a little roll in towards the white button in the centre, that would be even better.
Do you not feel that might set up a double?
Well,
if you
it
went
might,
that way as opposed to
if Stephen's
hitting and falling out to the other side, to the right-hand side.
Well, whatever you do, hitting is not that simple in this ice. But whatever he does, he has to get another stone in, because that yellow stone is actually lying shot stone. Now here's Ian's tap back coming up.
It's hanging out. I don't think he's got it, but he may get a roll in.
Well, that was a tricky dicky one there, but look what he's left.
Yes, he'll set up the double, and surely Stephen's going to go for that.
I would think so. Oh, he's well now.
Surely he's got
well,
shots
from
in the
our
house.
viewpoint.
No, he's set up the handle for clockwise, so he's
yes.
obviously going for it. So
Definitely.
you can expect a fairly speedy shot going down. See how
And
much the chair moved there? That was
yes,
your
well,
point,
as soon
Judy.
as you put the as soon as you put the extra weight on, the extra shove, your chair is going to move, and I don't think he's heavy enough to actually take both out. He may get one.
Just the one,
Yeah,
but
that's
it takes
good.
shot. So
He's still line two. The yellows, I think, would still be line
they
two. But
are.
here's an opportunity for Ian to do some damage, and with any luck, pick up his two. If he can clear those two stones as a double out the head. Yes, you really need to tighten the belt and braces here, Ian, and
important shot, because Ian wants to score this in if at all possible.
the
Not
stone's
holding
on
back.
its way. It's a good line. It's certainly going to take one away, but I don't think it's the shot stone that's going to
No.
move. He's going to get an edge. Oh!
Well, this could
Well.
be close. This could be close, even on the overhead.
It's not very clear.
I have slight suspicion it might be the red, but
Well,
wouldn't
Mo's
surprise me if
certainly
they call for a
claiming it.
measure.
Well, they have that opportunity if they're not sure. And actually, from a wheelchair, it's extremely difficult to find out, to look over a stone to see which is the winning shot. But they seem quite sure, because one's up on the board for the Simpson rink. So they must have agreed. Well, that was
some relief, Dean. That could have gone. If that had gone against him, that would have been a
That would have
5-0
been-
after two ends, and
that would have
been a
really
tough one to come back
fearsome.
from. But now he's lost the advantage of last stone,
He has indeed.
and Stephen won't be too disappointed to only lose a one.
Well, I think if you haven't got last stone, the whole aim of the game is to stop your opponent, who is entitled to claim one with last stone, but you have to stop him getting two, scoring two shots. That's not what you want. So this end, Mo, having won the last end, is playing off her lead stones, playing anti-clock draws into the rings.
Can you remind me, Judy, where the boys from Newcastle play their curling normally? Do they play at Lockerbie?
Well, no, they play at Kelso.
Also.
And they play 2 hours a week in Kelso, gathering themselves from all the Airts and Pairts. I think basically some are in Newcastle, and they come from Carlisle and all around. They play 2 hours a week in Kelso, and Kelso is not the slickest of ice, so I'm really impressed with their drawing skills here, that they're able to cope with the fast ice or fast air ice.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really good that there's 3 teams that have come up to compete this weekend.
It's
And
absolutely brilliant, and for them to be taking part in both the high road final and the low road final, they can really pat themselves in the back.
is that Stuart Pimblett that's in the
Stuart
low
Pimblett
road
and his
final?
partner Brian Collins are in the low road final, and I'm sure they'll be hoping to make their mark there, but I see at
Just
the
looking.
moment that
Yes, Davy Morgan, I think, of Hamilton is 2 up after one end. Or maybe the second end score has still to go up. But Davy Morgan did have the hammer in the first end against Stuart Pimblett.
well, I think as chairman of Scottish Wheelchair Curling Association, Davy will be very keen to put his mark in this competition and win the cowbell, the famous cowbell, as low road winners. He's got a handy partner though, hasn't he?
Who's Davy's partner?
Angie Malone from,
Well.
from the elite squad.
Rather a good quality of player to have as your partner, yes indeed.
Now here's a very nice draw coming in from Mo again. Oh, if she could just in behind, both together, but nice consistent drawing. And drawing like that might tempt Stephen to start the old hitting game again, which actually
He has been very, very restrained, I must say.
very restrained. I think he's learned from previous experiences. So here's a nice stone coming up from Jeff Ward, but if it's light, you don't want to guard the opposition, do you? So he's just taking too much off that. Now Ian just asking for a full draw here, just a little fraction more weight, and he can always tap up, draw behind, spin off to the other side. Plenty of options for this shot. This looks a nice line again. Now, you're seeing it drawing across. Now will it just tuck itself in behind there? Oh, that's a very nice stone, Mo. Very nice stone. It's a bit behind the tee, but, whoops. But that, you can
Well,
see.
your prediction is right there, Judy. Stephen has now decided, right, enough's enough. He's going to try and clear these 2 front stones.
It's the vicious swipe with the cue. You're in.
Said with feeling.
Said with feeling, and there's no mistaking what's wanted in this shot. Let's see if Jeff Ward can deliver the goods. Well, there's plenty elbow grease in that, and it's coming up very nicely. I think it's going to certainly move one of these. May get the back stone as well. No, but one away. But it certainly has moved the other red stone into a better position. But yellow there to be worked with. We have to remember, of course, don't we, that it's only 6 stones per team being played in this pairs event, so goes through pretty quickly.
It does, yes. They've been managing to get their 5 ends completed generally within the 1 hour allocated, and they have managed to keep the time very well. A lot of that's to do with the on-ice helpers who place the stones out for the players, and they are always keen to get the first stone out for the next end as soon as one end finishes.
Helps to keep it moving, and they're doing a grand job this weekend.
Yes, they are.
They've managed 2 per sheet for the whole competition, which is brilliant.
That just keeps everything moving along more quickly, and also I think it enables the players to concentrate on their own game.
Very much so. Very much so. I think the helpers thoroughly enjoy being involved as well and get quite hooked into the games and just watching what's happening.
Very much, and this weekend is a really enjoyable weekend for everyone that takes part, including the helpers. There's a great atmosphere between the players as well.
Very much so, very friendly competition. Now you'll notice, or maybe we can see, I'm not sure if we can see, that Ian has moved his stone off the centre line and is making full use of the 18-inch rule. Which gives him a bit more option in the playing of the stone. However, you'll have to cross over the hog line for it to be in play. It's just crawling over now. And he's trying desperately.
That was the intention.
For it to
He's
move
looking for
over
a guard.
As Mo is indicating, frantically flapping a right hand. Has it covered the short stone?
They want to cover both, because he had the short red and he also had the possibility of a promotion from Stephen on that front yellow. But
the space is there,
open.
And Stephen's moved his stone off the centre again to play it, making use of the 18-inch rule.
You can just make out the faint lines on either side of the centre.
It's not the edge of the orange, is it?
As one or two players were trying to do when they started off on yesterday morning. But Stephen's played that too wide.
I think he's played it too wide, and he's narrowed the gap as a result. And that's going to be pretty tricky to get a stone through there.
The gap's still there, so
it is, but you
Ian,
need to be very accurate to get through there. Ooh.
Let's see what Ice Mo gives for this one. It'll be interesting to see how much of a swing she thinks is going to be.
The danger for playing up that side again is that he niggles one or other of those guard stones and opens the gap even further. Whereas it's pretty tight at the moment, the space. We can't quite see there is a yellow stone to the left of the red stone at the bottom of the screen. Well, he's definitely trying to plug that hole, and he's actually played a pretty good stone here. Very good stone.
It's a good shot.
Oof.
He's
just altered where the gap is.
But moved it in his favour, so I think, Stephen's decided that he's not going to be able to get through that way. So
the other side of the house, the whole half of the house is still open for Stephen to play into. Nice draw weight stone coming up, or Stephen's certainly hoping it's draw weight. Drawing in pretty quickly, but can it stop? Can it stop? No, it's so tempting when you're faced with a shot like that.
Ian to get a shot into the front of the rings and close off that route. Assuming that's what he chooses.
Yeah.
Stephen's come down this end.
Now Mo's indicating quite short here, and actually I feel if you play it short you're going to get an even bigger swing.
Yes.
I might be wrong, but certainly Stephen still had a very good finish on it, although it went out the back. So let's see what Ian plays here. Nice rotations on the stone and a good finish holding the cue stretched out. But has he taken too much off it? Is he going to get over the hog?
I think he's over. The question is if it's still going to draw too much.
I have to say, he could have afforded to be a yard further on there and play it into the rings.
Yeah, he has to put pressure on, I would have thought, Stephen,
Yes.
because
anything short of the rings you can come round on this ice. So he's basically still left the whole of that half at the left-hand side of the ice, or the looking at the looking at this.
Stephen has to draw the 4 foot, but
yes,
he's certainly shown some considerable skill in his drawing
he has
so far
indeed
this weekend.
But I think he's not quite can't. Yes, that's where he wants it to go, but on that ice,
It's a very narrow ice.
Very.
If that's what he plays.
Well, I think Stephen is. I think the way he's setting up, I think you'll find this is being played wide.
Yeah, he's
moving the brush,
moved
but
the brush.
even more. He's taken the ice that he thinks he's got to get this spot on, but I think he's a little bit light, and he's
I
just
think he's
drifting
light,
in
and
before,
that's
so the Scots.
Last stone, so we're going to get a steal of 2 coming up
I
here.
don't believe this. Right through. Oh, it's just not strong enough. Good effort, but not good enough, and
So 2
the
stones
Scots pick up
to
2.
Ian, which will hearten them, and
Closes the
now
score.
4-3, all to play for.
Absolutely all to play for. That is the beauty. If you're going to lose a big end, lose it in the first end, so that you've got plenty time
You
to
still
claw
come
your
back.
way back. Now it's quite interesting to note the use of the 18-inch rule. That rule being that you can place your stone in a starting position anywhere between the 2 18-inch lines to the left and the right of the centre line, and between the top of the newer house and the hog line. Virtually in the orange patch, but about 6 inches in from each side. But the lines are a bit confusing here. But she's making use of this for her draw.
Interesting, Stephen spent the whole of that period between the last end and the start of this one down here consulting with his lead player and encouraging him. The encouragement included, I noticed, a very nice, gentle slap in the face.
Well, Mo will be disappointed with that stone because I have a feeling it hasn't crawled over the hog, and yeah, she's shaking her head in disbelief. Yes, the 2 Northern Ice boys are using this V delivery so that they're looking eye, stone up to the target cue, and it also probably helps them if there are not very many of them around at their practice sessions that they don't need the buddy. They can play nice stones without a buddy. So they are the first 2 stones of the end, 1 short, 1 long. How often have we seen that? Same ice, same line being given to Mo. I think she's pinched an inch there, which takes her out in slightly slower ice, I would suggest. But has she managed to adjust the weight?
certainly increase it, and it's probably a
Well,
little bit
there's the
further
answer.
back than Ian was asking for.
However, I think they'll take that and be very happy that it's in the rings. Probably a yard further, but within the margin of error. Now I think we're off again on a hitting process here.
Yes, definitely. That's Stephen's comfort zone, but that seemed to be on the wide side.
Just all depends on his weight. If he's heavy, he'll miss it completely. But if he's light, that's a great pity, because that was his line. If he played the brush, that would have come to the red stone very nicely. So it just shows you how important it is to play straight to the skip's brush.
And now Ian's deciding to guard the one stone. But
I hope it's a guard in the rings, a counter. You cannot afford to be short in swinging ice, because you can almost get round anything.
yes.
This must be Mo's favourite hand, the anti-clock hand.
It would be interesting if we could find out from the umpires if after 5 ends the game's peeled, how they're going to decide. I can I've asked the chairman of the development group if he can go and consult with the umpires, because I don't think they'll be able to play an extra end, because there's a session of curling coming on immediately after this event.
So it could be a
I
draw
suspect
shot
it's
challenge
going
at
to
the
be a
end.
draw shot at the end between the
Right,
skips.
well, hopefully the teams will have sussed all that out before they stepped on the ice. Now, Mo played a lovely third stone there, but they're just lying side by side, and I think, again, Stephen's going to ask Jeff to have another go at that and try and get rid of those stones, but again, you have to play the brush, you have to play the target. Well, that looks a better go at it. Has he got enough weight to move these stones?
I don't think he's heavy enough.
I think it's drawing, you see, so if you drop your weight, it'll just drift past, take the big draw. But
well, that's unusual for Northern Ice players. They are not
well,
very
it
good
is,
at
but I
takeouts,
tell
and
you, it would have been a brilliant stone if the ice had been right to draw into that nest.
Yes, that's
brilliant.
that was an option that Stephen did have, but he chose not, I think, even to consider it. He decided to go straight to try and hit the 2 stones out instead of coming to rest against them.
Well, to freeze against that is maybe the hardest shot in the book, and on the
Gary McFarlane, chairman of the development group, will give us the definitive view on what's happening.
The definitive view is that it's 5 ends. If it's peeled at the end of 5 ends, then it goes to ends. If one of the ends is blanked and it happens to be that the ends is peeled as well, then it's a draw shot.
Thank you very much for that.
Not at all.
Gary, that's excellent. So at the moment, Ian Donaldson, by virtue of being 2 ends to 1 up, has a slight advantage if the game is peeled at the end of 5 ends.
Now, Norman, this webcast we're doing today is one of many webcasts that will be done throughout the season here in Braehead, with the Braehead Development Group being very innovative with these state-of-the-art cameras and screens, etc.
There's been great developments this year. Judy and the development group have got a lot to thank Jonathan Heggie for. He is the one who's taken on the original cameras which were installed a couple of years ago, and this season has put together the package and the software with development group's assistance, which means that we can now have the split screens which you can now see, and the excellent level of coverage.
Right, and if anybody was wanting to tune in at a future date, this is a very good shot coming. I'm afraid the guard was far too short
That's the
and
shot.
left plenty space for a lovely stone there for Northern Ice to take away Scott's red stone and lie in shot position.
Ian without last stone probably just wants to come in and use those stones as backing, so presumably
Well,
he's
you'll want
trying
to
just to
pump it
draw
back
in,
a
just
little
tap
bit.
it so it's
You'll
still
need to
behind
move
him.
it out of shot position. So let's see what kind of weight. With the amount of ice given that you can see, that this should be just a nice steady draw right up and just move it back. I think that might be the plan. And oh no, I thought you'd nobody, but there we go. This looks pretty nice. Pretty nice. Will it draw in onto the yellow stone? Coming into view. This looks a very nice line in, just to nick it out. Oh!
Not quite.
So unlucky.
Heavy.
So unlucky.
Lying second and third stones, but
Yes,
crucially
but
he's not lying first stone, so...
And this guard away down at the hog, which I don't think you can see on the screen, just blocking a straight hit on the Northern Ice stone, but he could have come up on the clockwise turn right up to the shot stone at the moment. However, Stephen is choosing to play anti-clock still.
He hasn't put a handle on that, and that's going to go out.
He's got
the
no
opposite
handle,
way.
and you know, he just spent 5 minutes before we came on ice telling me he very, very seldom puts a wrong handle on it. Well, I'm afraid now was the time, and that has cost him dear.
At least he's smiling.
He'll be
Or
furious.
is that
It's a
gritted
grimace,
teeth?
I think. Now, Ian can see from up this side, and I'm sure he'll be moving his stone out to the full width of the 18-inch to the...
This could be a really important shot in the
Very
context of the game, because
That's a lot of ice. But if he can tap back the shot stone, he stands to be lying 3, and that would put a lot of pressure on.
lying on it would be a good shot, just to come and freeze, to sit right on the
I'd
button.
be getting greedy and need to move it.
And he doesn't need to move it.
He'd still have... He hasn't got it next time. It's his last stone. So this is Ian Donaldson's last stone. It's looking a nice line if he's got the legs. Has he got the legs to come up to this yellow stone? He's got to move it, just tap it back. It's looking
Looks
pretty...
quite good.
It's
And he's
looking
gonna
very
get a
nice,
little
but it's
roll
stone's
across.
drawing.
That's a good shot, Ian. It's a
Splendid
good shot. Excellent shot.
Splendid shot, and he's moved it sufficiently to provide backing if Northern Ice do anything more.
Now pressure, so
And
Stephen's
also
going
to
up
be
to the
lying.
head to have a check and see what kind of shot option
Well,
he's
I think
got.
he should be checking.
This is what's going out. So that's... No, you don't
Mhm.
pay attention to this.
Oh, I think it's fairly clear that the Reds are lying 3 here. Oh, this is a bit of a position for Stephen. I think he's just got to think carefully here and think about the state of the game. What is the score? What end are we at? What would be the best idea here to leave me in the best position on the last 5th end? He's 4-3 up. He's got last stone here. He definitely wants to score his 1 here if he possibly can. And go into the last end 5-3 up. Playing... Well, he wants to get in the mix there and just make sure that he scores.
I'll just consult with our competition supremo here, Gary, who's just behind me. Do you think a triple is on there?
I think it is if he was able to play it heavy enough. I think it
I
is if he was able to play it heavy enough. I think he should be focusing on trying to make sure he gets the double on the 2 stones on the left, and if he gets a roll on off that, but there he's going to roll away and he's going to lose 3, unfortunately.
That was always
I
the
think it is.
danger
I
in
think he's
playing a
lost to 3.
stone that he just had to be very sure of trying to score his one. That was very
he seemed to be caught in
unfortunate.
two minds there. I don't know if he was
Yes.
absolutely convinced in the shot he was
He was actually very
playing.
unlucky, because if he had caught the two between them, he wouldn't have his own stone would not have rolled to the side and gone out of contention. So he was maybe 6 inches off the line from actually playing a very good shot.
He'd come off the two on the left-hand side and use them as backing.
Yes.
Then he'd only have lost a one if he'd done that, and then he might have rolled off onto
Yes.
the other one anyway. But
it's taking
Just
into
turned too much.
consideration at a shot like that just what you do want to do and be
what you
very
mustn't
sure
do,
about
what you
it,
must not do.
considering
Yeah.
what the state of the game is.
If he'd lost a one there and was 4-all but had last shot,
Yes,
that would have been a reasonable position.
a very
What
reasonable
he didn't
and
want to
given
do
him a
was to lose
chance.
more than one.
Absolutely.
So 6-4, so still a possibility.
Well, it's still a possibility, considering he took 4 in the first end. But I think that's obviously stung the Mo Simpson and Ian Donaldson into action,
Yeah.
because they've certainly come back with a roar.
But what McGarry now needs to do is he needs to get a 3, because he's not got enough ends. So he actually needs to win 7-6 here. So
I'm just
a
hoping
two- a
he
two is not
realises
sufficient.
that.
Yeah.
And there's a nice stone from Mo. When it's only 6 stones each side, you know, getting them as counters in
Yeah.
anywhere is always extremely helpful. And especially when they're up, they don't want to leave guards at the front, which the boys from the north of England can come round.
They could use that red at the front to come round that and see whether they can
They
start
could
to work
indeed, so
something.
really you wanted right in. But it's not short of the rings, so
No. Always difficult to pick yourself back up again when you've lost 3 ends and 6 shots, and
when you
you're
made
sti-
it,
you
and
still
that was
could
a mistake.
still could
that
do it, but
you can still do it, but not with this.
and
That's
it's
not
hogged
going to
that-
help the
it's hogged
cause.
that one, yeah.
That's Jeff Ward's stone being short. And on the other final, the Low Road final, which is being played further across the rink here, Davy Morgan and Angie Malone are holding a 4-1 lead at the moment in the 4th end. So they'll be looking to consolidate on this. However, back to the High Road final. And Mo being asked to get the stones right up to the rings.
It's a bit of a repeat of the last end that played down this way, with Mo having 2 stones in the
Yes,
front of the rings.
very consistent stones. But Ian obviously is very aware of Mo's favourite hand, because he's given her the anti-clock hand for 3 stones every single end, I think. But it's proving very effective. Play to your player's strengths. This looks a nice line from Jeff Ward. Has he got enough weight to crawl in behind these stones? It's looking a pretty good line. Just a yard light in weight. So just 3 yellow stones left for Stephen McGarry to play, and they're all going to have to count if they're going to squeak ahead of the Scottish pair and lift the High Road Trophy for the Star Refrigeration National Pairs.
That was a good line from Mo, and that's now one that should be coming in. Looks a good line from Mo, although a little bit on the heavy side. I think she's going to go right through the back.
Well, fair enough. It's not cluttering up, and it's not giving the Northern Ice boys a chance to have something to draw behind. So there's just this one group.
See in the Low Road final, Judy, that Stuart Pimlet's come back and stolen a 2, so that's a very close one. That's now 4-3 to Davy Morgan going into the last end.
So all to play for there. That's good news. It's exciting games. Now there's a lovely draw right to the button. Jeff Ward's third stone. So
I think we have a fair idea what Ian is going to do with this one.
well, I'm sure he'll want to move that one away, because move that out the rings and they're getting closer to the victory that I'm sure they're hoping for. But now, this is quite interesting. Mo is giving quite generous ice here, so it looks to me as if Ian is coming up to it rather than having a go at removing it from the rings. I wonder if he realizes that if it disappears out the rings, he's just drawing up to it. That's the hardest shot in the book, that.
You're surprised in that, Judy, that he didn't
I am
decide just to hit it
surprised
out?
because he can afford to have a fly at it. And he's going to play a very nice draw here, but this is not going to outcount the short stone, and it gives Stephen McGarry a great opportunity to consolidate and put the pressure right back in the Scottish camp.
Stephen now really needs to get all his stones counting. Has to get one on the head.
Well now, Stephen, you've got a great chance here to build on that very good stone of Jeff's. Oh, another movement of the chair. He must be so used to it that he still produces a good stone online. Yes, but it's got to come right up. It's got to be in the rings. Oh.
Not enough weight for him. So that's disappointing. He really did want to have that in and scoring.
Well. How many stones to play? How many stones has Stephen got to play?
Stephen has 2 more.
2 more. So if this stone goes, he can then only draw the final and go into this convoluted. Well, he's lost.
Well, he wouldn't. He's lost because he doesn't have enough ends.
Now, Ian, this is the shot we thought you'd play the first time. Come on, just needs an edge of that stone.
I think he's going to get enough to
Has
get
he got
and
it?
that should be enough
There
to
you
decide
go.
he doesn't need to stay.
He
So
doesn't need to stay, so
think
stone
that's-
out. And whether they realise it or not,
I'm sure Ian does. I'm not sure if Mo does, because she's normally fairly demonstrative.
however, they will want to finish the end. So it just shows the importance of that first draw of Stevens, that it had to be in the rings. But that was a very good hit by Ian. And I think they may well have realised that if this stone goes out the back, the game is over, and are they going to play more?
They'll play the last 2 stones, probably, I think.
Well, I think we can safely say that after a big loss in the first end, which really set fire to the Scots, who have come back well, and by dint of that last stone of Stevens going out the back, I would say they can fairly claim to be the winners of the Star Refrigeration National Pairs.
And do you remember who the defending champions were this season. I don't think they were taking part. Was it Tom Cullen that won last year?
Tom Cullen and James
I think it was.
Brown have had a couple of successful years here.
This is Ian's last stone.
Well, I
And
have
they're
to
getting
say it
very
doesn't really
excited.
matter. He's lying 2 at the front anyway. And Stephen, I'm afraid this is
He's now
shaking hands. He realises
So
that
that's,
the game is away on an end count, even if he scores with this stone. But it will be a nice finish if he can just play a lovely draw right up to the button. That would be a perfect end for them. But a great effort by the Northern Ice boys. Excellent. I think this is their first final within the competitions.
It is.
So they'll
they're
be
improved.
absolutely delighted with getting this far.
And so they should
He's
be.
just pushing it away. So a very nice finish. Loads of smiles all round and handshakes. Oh,
Not quite enough even to squeeze in for
Not
the last shot.
Not quite even to win
But
the end. That's bad luck.
As always, there'll be shaking
So
hands to the whole team.
the Mo
Mo
and
and
Ian
Ian.
celebrating.
Mo
Big
always.
hugs and lovely handshakes all round by the participants. That's very good, and they can all be very proud of their games today and throughout the competition. So thank you very much to everybody, and thank you very much. I think Alan Walkinshaw from Star Refrigeration will have enjoyed watching this final for the Star Refrigeration Trophy. Excellent day.